Hi, I'm Fraser Allen of ICLG.com. In this video, I'll be interviewing Molly Lane, who is the co-chair of Morgan Lewis's class action litigation practice, about some of the current trends in US healthcare and COVID-19 related class actions. Molly will also be speaking at our Global Class Actions Symposium on November 16th to 17th. So my first question today to you, Molly, is have any attempts been made to file class actions against the healthcare sector for their handling of COVID-19? And if not, do you expect to see any?
We haven't seen that many class actions filed against participants in the healthcare sector. What we have seen is class actions filed against, for example, nursing homes or skilled nursing rehabilitation facilities for allowing their residents to contract COVID-19. So we have seen some of those cases, but in general, we haven't seen as many class actions filed against the healthcare sector as a result of COVID-19 as we had expected.
And in terms of the future, do you expect to see a rise in cases?
We don't. We hope that we don't, because that will signal the end of COVID-19. We are seeing the tail end of the lawsuits that were filed at the beginning of the pandemic, and we've seen them tail off as a result of our countries and our counties and our world getting more of a handle on COVID-19.
Right. And in terms of specific class actions for the disruption caused by COVID-19, do you expect to see cases of that nature come forward in due course?
We have seen a lot of cases being filed as a result of the disruption caused by COVID-19. Again, I think those will begin to tail off as we get our arms around a little bit more around COVID-19. But the places where we've seen those kinds of lawsuits have been, for example, refund litigation. We've seen a number of class actions filed against colleges and universities for refusing or failing to refund tuition and other costs that were incurred by students who had to study from home as opposed to being on campus, or against airlines for failing to refund tickets that were not used by passengers, or against sports teams for not refunding the cost incurred for tickets that were never used. So we've seen those kinds of litigation. We've seen class action litigation involving claims against insurance companies for failing to pay claims as a result of business disruptions. We've seen a lot of cases in that area. We've seen a number of cases filed against employers, for example, where a number of their employees contracted COVID-19 and lawsuits were filed for the failure to protect employees from contracting the virus. So we have seen a number of class action cases against entities that are not in the healthcare sector, but we do expect that will tail off as we get more of a handle on the virus.
Right, understood. So do you think these COVID cases will teach us anything new about class actions in terms of, the way they differ from other types of class action case?
I really don't think there will be much of a difference in the way that they're handled by the courts. We are seeing different issues arise in those cases that perhaps we have not seen before. So, for example, force majeure provisions in contracts have been a focus of some of the cases, whether or not those force majeure provisions exculpate companies from liability as a result of the language in the contracts that they had with the class, the putative class members. Other issues that have been more focused on in the class action context for COVID-19 include causation issues, for example. So there were a number of cases against cruise lines or against employers in which the courts found that it was too difficult for them to determine whether or not the cruise lines or the employers were responsible for the contraction of COVID-19, and those cases were dismissed. So there's going to be a focus on different issues, but I don't think that overall the handling of those class actions is going to differ.
Right. And just one final question. Do you think that the increased focus that we see at the moment on ESG issues will result in an increase in class actions in the future?
Absolutely. We're already seeing it. There have been a number of class actions filed, particularly in the securities and the consumer context, in which the class members or the class representatives have alleged claims based on misrepresentations made by the defendants about, for example, their supply chain, or about their making claims that their products are eco-friendly or sustainable. So we're going to continue to see that. We've already seen it, and that is going to continue. We've also seen a number of cases, not necessarily in the class action context, but derivative actions that were filed against companies, for example, for failing to have diverse boards that would meet their diversity and inclusion goals. So we've already seen those cases filed here in the U.S. as well. One other area where we think we're going to see ESG class actions is in relation to climate change. And again, we've seen some of those cases being filed alleging that defendants were responsible for climate change that led to losses of some sort. And I think we'll see that. We'll see plaintiffs filing cases against companies alleging that they were responsible for wildfires or for hurricanes or for, for example, the deep freeze we had in Texas last year. So that is going to continue into the future. We've seen it already, and I think it's only gonna increase.
Fascinating stuff. It certainly looks like a space worth watching. So thank you very much for your time and your answers today, Molly. It's been very interesting talking to you. Molly will be speaking at our Global Class Actions Symposium on November the 16th to the 17th. So if you want to hear more of Molly and other arbitration experts tackle these and other subjects, be sure to book your ticket at our event, which will be live in London and online.